Hello everyone, I'm Karen and I'm here at the Ponderosa in my sewing studio, and I have just finished my first two blocks for our mystery block of the month. And I just woke the cat up over there. He's like, we've made it. We're finally here. We're finally working on our mystery block of the month, and I hope you love the fabrics that are in your blocks. So every month we're going to be doing two blocks. And then there's going to be kind of two different designs that you can choose from. So let's kind of look at your instruction sheet. This is a little bit different than some of the other blocks of the month that we have done. So the first page of your instruction sheet has the dates that we're going to meet. If something changes, to change something, I will let you know as soon as possible. Then underneath that, we have some and other instructions for other fabrics and things that you might need to complete your project. So with borders, your project will be 46 by 64. With borders, it will be 68 by 84. So you can buy backing accordingly, and the girls will help you out with how much fabric you need. Any of these other items and fabrics that you need to purchase for the block of the month is 20% off because you're part of the club. I know, you're just part of the club, so you get something special. So there are, as I indicated, two different finishing or setting designs that you will be able to choose from. And to do those, you're going to need a light and a dark fabric for your sashing. They can be different than the fabrics that are in your project, or they can be the same fabrics that are in your project. Just depends on what you like. You'll need a yard of each of those. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the project and a little bit more in depth in a minute. But I'm just kind of going through the fabrics that you'll need. So you'll need a light and a dark for your sashings, 1 yard each. Then for the inner and the outer and the binding, the inner and the outer border and the binding, you'll need a yard and 2/3. And for your center border, you'll need a yard and 2/3. So there are also two rulers that are on your little instruction sheet. Those rulers will probably be optional. Right now they are out of stock, so I can't get them in. The triangle squared ruler is one that I've showed at Patchwork Party before, so you may have it. So check your stash and see what rulers you have. If we can't get the rulers in time to do those blocks, I'm going to put those blocks off till the end, so that hopefully by the time we get to those, they'll be in stock, and I can show you a little bit more about those as we go along. If we can't get the rulers, I will give you a template to help you do your block that month. So not every, so we're going to talk about that again in a minute. And then you'll just need a 4.5 inch square ruler, and that's a Creative Grid ruler. Those are probably the best rulers to use. So if you have a 4.5 inch square Creative Grid ruler, that would be great. And we'll talk as time goes on a little bit more about what you might want to pick for your sashings, for your inner border, for your outer border, things like that as we go along. This block of the month and this mystery block of the month is a little bit different than the other blocks of the month that we've had. You have in your beautiful fabric box mystery box 12, I think there's 6.5 inch by width of fabric pieces of, different fabrics, and you also have a background fabric. Each month you're going to choose for your blocks, and these are the first two blocks that you're going to do this month. You will pick a light, a dark, a medium, and your background. So you can kind of sit down and plot and think of which fabrics that you like to go together the best, and kind of put them in groups of 3. You can kind of group your colors by light, darks, and mediums. Sometimes what a medium is in one block might be a dark in another block. Each fabric is going to be used twice. Okay? If you're doing something with Kansas Troubles and you got a Kansas Trouble box, you can pull from your Kansas Trouble stash and add to those fabrics. So you can mix and match different fabrics from your stash or pick up more fabrics from the line from the store and add those in. So you're gonna, if you chose a different light, medium, and dark for each block, you would need 24 different colors. So we gave you 12 and you would use them twice in different blocks. Does that make sense? So go into your stash. I'm using batik, so I can pull from my stash and add in some other fabric colors that I really, really like. In your blocks, 10 of your blocks will have just a basic square in the center. 2 will have something different in the center, but 10 will have just a basic square. This one has, there's your basic square here. Here's a basic square here. If you have a fabric in your box that you just love, 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 you could start every block with that fabric in the center. You don't have to, but you can. So if you really love that fabric and then everything else can kind of flow from that, you could do that. If you decide to do that, I would maybe see if you could pick up a fat quarter, or if you really, really like it, you might want to use it also as a sashing and your binding, your inner border, your outer border. So you might want to pick those fabrics up now because you need a little bit more of those. In 6 months from now, we might be sold out of something that's in that line. But if you have a basic batik, if you have buttermilk basin, if you have Kansas Trouble, those types of things you can pull from your stash, and we always kind of get more of those so you can always replenish, and you know all those lines always blend together from line to line, from season to season. What else do I want to tell you about this? So every month there isn't, usually when we have a mystery block of the month, you get a fabric, you get your box of fabric, and then you decide this is going to be A, this is going to be B, this is going to be C, this is going to be D. A goes here, B goes there, C goes there, D goes there. That's how it works this month, this time around. So you get to be really creative, and you could have exactly the same box as somebody else, but your blocks would look entirely different because you're putting your fabrics wherever you want in those blocks. You could also pull in a solid fabric to kind of blend with some of your other fabrics, or like a shadow blush or something else. And the girls would be happy to help you pick some more fabrics to go with that. If you were going to do that, you would probably just need fat quarters to add in, because you're not using a whole lot of fabric in each one of these blocks. So to incorporate another color into a block, you don't need very much. So this is a chance for you to be really creative and do some really different things, because there's no rules. The only rule is there's no rules. And sometimes that freaks people out, but you'll be okay. Breathe. So like I said, sit down, you can plot out 12 different blocks and by just mixing and matching your fabrics. Remember, you kind of want a light, a dark, a medium, and your background in every block. So that's the biggest clue that I can give you at the starting gate. So with that being said, let's take a look at the instructions. Every month you will get a sheet of instructions. Some of them are 2 pages, some of them are 1.5 pages. It gives you cutting instructions for each block, and the blocks and the fabrics are your background, your light, your medium, and your dark. And we'll talk about that again in just a second. Then it will give you instructions on sewing your pieces together. And on the bottom of every instruction, there will be color options for you to choose from. So you can see here, there's kind of a dark in the middle. Here's a medium in the middle. Here's a light in the middle. So you can kind of see how the blocks would look by using a light, a dark, and a medium in different places within your block. So that kind of gives you a little hint of how something might look, and you might be drawn to one of these designs, like one might look better to you than another. So go with that and then follow and put the lights where the lights are, the darks and the mediums. So this kind of gives you, I think this helps to give you permission to move things around and not just do it like you see up here. So move your fabrics around, think about things a little bit as you design, because you're going to be designing each and every block yourself, because every block is going to be different. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Cutting instructions are pretty simple. As we go along and I'm cutting, I'll tell you how I did my block. In this block, I have, this is light, medium, and dark. In your first piece of instructions on this particular block, it has this center block as being a medium up on top. So you don't have to go right by that. So I did my dark where they said to put the medium up on top. So you kind of have to look at that and decide where you're going to do light, medium, and dark, and then cut that way. Okay? Because sometimes your light won't be the same as their light. Your light might be a medium, and that's okay. So kind of think about where you want to put your pieces, and that will help you cut out as you go along. So we're going to get started. We're going to do this block first, and we're going to start by cutting out all of our pieces and get together and start talking about how to put this block together. If you have any questions as we go along, please text me, email me, call me. My number and my email is on the bottom of this email that we sent you, and you can ask me anytime. I'm always happy to help. The girls have seen what this quilt looks like, so you can always stop in and ask the girls for assistance as well if I'm not there. So gather up your supplies, figure out what you want for your light, your medium, and your dark. So in this one, I had my, I think this is light, medium, and dark. I think that's how that one went. Let me take a look, because I pretty much went the same. Yep, this was light, this is my medium, and this is my dark on this block. So we're going to get together and I will talk about this in about 2 seconds. So get your fabrics together and join me back at the cutting table. See you in a second. So now you're ready to sew your first block. Are you excited? I am. I can't wait. So let me tell you what pieces you're going to need to sew your first block. Now you're going to need your background, a light, a medium, and a dark. Each block that you make, you will need the background, a light, a medium, and a dark. So the first thing you're going to do is cut your background pieces. You're going to need 4 2.5 by 4. I'm just going to put one of these up. 4 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles for the outside of your block, and 12 2-inch squares. Okay, those are going to be part of your flying geese. So let me move those out of the way, because here's the fun part. So first you're going to use a 4.5 inch square, and that's going to be the center of your block, and it's a light. Now it doesn't have to be a light, it could be a dark, it could be a medium. I know I'm freaking you out right now, but when I get done, I'll show you 2 different variations using all of the same fabrics, and you can see how you can mix up your fabrics to make the same block. So you really can do whatever you want, honest, and it's going to be beautiful. So for this one, I'm using this for my center, and then I will need 8 2.5 inch squares, and actually those are going to be part of my flying geese blocks. And the medium, I'm going to need 12, and this is my medium. My medium, I'll need 12 2.5 inch squares. And for the dark, I will need 4 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. So with these, you're going to make flying geese out of your medium and your dark fabric, or in my case, the medium and dark fabric. And you're going to make 4 of those. Then you're going to make out of your medium and background, you will make 8 half square triangle blocks, and those will measure 2.5 inches. These will measure 2.5 by 4.5, and you will have your 4.5 inch square in the center. Then, yep, I already told you about these guys. Okay, so let's go to the sewing machine, sew those up. The instructions are right on your sheet. And remember, on the bottom of your sheet, can you see me over here? On the bottom of your sheet are different variations using light, medium, and dark in the different spots on your block. So that kind of helps you kind of see how it would look if you had a dark center, if you had a light center, if you used light in the mirror and medium here and dark out there. So you can see how you can just switch up your colors any way you want. Just because I put medium here, dark here, or this is light here, medium here, you know, it doesn't matter. It's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to go sew up my black and then we'll come back. Well, that didn't take long, did it? And they look fabulous, don't they? Okay, now we're ready to sew the entire block together. So you've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 half square triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4 flying geese. That's all the piecing that you had to do for this block. Now you're ready to sew it together. Now to sew it together, you're going to kind of sew it by quadrant. You're going to sew these 4 pieces together, these 2 guys, these 4 pieces. Then these, you don't have to do anything to the middle. And then you're going to sew these. So these 4, these 2, these 4, and then you can sew your rows together. And it will be a beautiful block. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to come back. But first, if you don't have one of these design boards, we have these little design boards at the store. They come in different sizes. This is, I think, about 13 or 14 by 14. Our black is going to end up to be 12.5 once we sew it all together. And I have some smaller ones as well. And they just are great because obviously you can see that I have my pieces on here. Now when I sew it together, I'm just going to set it down by my sewing machine. Everything stays in place because, you know, sometimes I'll put something together over at my cutting table, and by the time I take it from there and I bring it here, something happens and it gets twisted around. Have you ever had that? I know. I don't know how it happens, but it does. So this way now I've got all of this sitting right here next to me. I'm going to pick up my pieces and sew my little quadrants together and then sew my rows. So you do that, and then we'll be right back and see what your block looks like. I have my block done. How about you? How does your block look? Please send me a picture of your block so I can share it with the rest of the group. We all want to see what your blocks look like. I hope yours looks good. If you had any questions, you know you can always call me, email me, text me, and I am always happy to help out. So this is my black. I have my light in the middle. Here's my medium. There's my dark. But again, remember, you can switch that up any way you want. Now we're ready for the second block that we're going to do this month. Remember, every month we're going to do 2 blocks. So block number 1, done. Now, block number 2, you're going to need to cut 28. Yes, 28 2.5-inch squares. I'm going to put those down at the bottom. 2.5-inch squares. My light fabric, this is my light fabric this month. I'm just going to put one up here, otherwise they'll all fall off. 12 2.5-inch squares. Now the medium, it says medium, but look at, I'm going rogue. This is dark. I'm putting a dark middle on my block this time. So you're going to need 1 4.5-inch square for the middle of your block. On here it says medium. I'm using dark. Then I'm going to go to the medium, and I am going to cut 8 4.5 by 2.5-inch rectangles and 4 2.5-inch squares. Okie dokie. Now to make blocks, you're going to use some of those 2.5-inch white background squares. You're going to match those up with your 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles, and you're going to make 8 flying geese. Then you're going to take your white and your light, put those together, and you're going to make 12 half square triangles. Then you're going to put it all together and line everything up and get back together. So make your half square triangles, make your flying geese, and come back and I will show you how to put your block together. See you in a minute. 5 minutes, right? Only going to take 5 minutes. Well, maybe longer. See you soon. Well, how are you coming along? So you've got all of your square triangles made. You've got all of your flying geese made. This is how you're going to lay it out. So you've got 12 half square triangles and 8 flying geese and your center block. Now in the instructions, it had us using the medium fabric as the center, but I went rogue and put a dark one in the middle. So even later on, when I'm mixing up my colors and my blocks later on, this one could almost end up being a dark in another block, but in here, it's a medium. I know, you just never know. So I have my light, my medium, and my dark, and I've gone rogue because I put my dark in the middle. And you can tell here again on your instruction sheet, like here's the one where she kind of where we put dark in the center over here, but we also put a medium, and here's a light in the center. So you can mix that up, and where you put your lights and where you put your darks, you get a whole nother look in your block. So experiment a little bit, have fun with this. It's really, really a lot of fun to do. So now that I've done all of my half square triangles and my flying geese, I'm ready to sew it together. And again, we're going to sew it together like we did our first block. Ta-da! Our first block, we're going to sew this little quadrant together, this little group of 4, then the group of 2, then again your group of 4. 2, don't have to do anything to the center block, and 2 flying geese. Then your half square triangles and your plain block, 2 flying geese, and your half square triangles with your regular square again in the corner. So we're going to sew those all together and then sew your rows, and you will have your second block done. So go give that a try. I'm going to sew mine together, and then we'll come back and you can see what my block looks like. Get to work. I know you can do it. Well, you've done it. You've done your second block for the first month of our mystery block of the month. Congratulations, yay! So this is what my block looks like. Send me some pictures of what your block looks like. All of your flying geese blocks should be pointing out, and all of your half square triangles should be pointing in, and it's a beautiful block. Our next club meeting is April 14th, and that's a Thursday, not a Monday. It's a Thursday. So April 14th will be our next club meeting. So if you can't join us in the store, a video will go out so that you can see how to put your blocks together. If you have any questions or any problems, let me know and send me pictures of your block. I can't wait to see how they look. Have fun with this, and we will see you again next month. Bye.